based on a Google form sent to a certain number of students in 2018. We've got around 100 responses. And these responses are for different questions. For example, what is your ID number? What is your current degree level? This questionnaire was designed to evaluate the determinants of academic success. So we've asked around 20 questions about the degree level, about the age of the student, the gender, how many hours of sleep per day, and many other indicators or variables that could be used to understand what makes a student successful. The GPA level, which is our explained variable that will measure the performance. The first thing to do before going to SPSS, first column, we do not really need it, the date and time when the questionnaire was submitted. And the second thing is that instead of having the full question, we will transform it into a variable or a code. For example, here, instead of having what is your ID number, we can write ID number or ID simply. If you have two words, try to put an underscore on some statistical programs, eViews or SPSS, etc. may not accept two words as a variable. So we will be recoding the variables. You can see here we have done this word. This one now could be imported into SPSS. So we have here our SPSS. We have file here. We can find here open data. So we can import the data. My data are in the desktop at the desk, and here I can choose file type XLS in order to find my data here. So open. The next step is to choose the worksheet. I have two worksheets. I have to use this one. So okay. So get the data. Here I've got my data. I have my data here for all years, GPA, etc. I have everything. So what you can do now is to click Save As and save it as SAV, which is data. So you give it a name and you save it. Once saved, you can see also that you have two types of table. This table where we have the data and the variables here, and another table for the variables and the type of each variable. So if you click here on variable view, you will see ID, which is the first variable, is a numeric variable, etc. It is a scale, etc. It's nominal, etc. For example, gender here is nominal, M or F, male or female, etc. The next step is to start doing some analysis. First of all, you can do using here, for example, analyze, report, or the descriptive stat. Start by taking, for example, the GPA or back grade, etc., attendance, whatever. And you can choose in options here, what do you want? You want the mean, you want the minimum, max, standard deviation, let's say, variance, range here, difference between minimum and max, etc. Let's click on OK. And you will see that now you have another window for SPSS where the results will be displayed. We have this first result, which is a descriptive statistics output, 3 variables selected. We have n, the number of observations. Minimum GPA is 1.5, maximum GPA is 4, and on average 3.03 was a standard deviation. And again, for the back level, minimum 10, maximum 18, and the average is 12.3, and that attendance is around 83% with a certain standard deviation. So if you click on copy and you go to Word, you can paste this graph and use it in your thesis. Or also, because you are maybe going to add other output here or other results, you can save the output by clicking on here, file, save as, and you can see here it is an SPV file, which is an output file where you could find all your results. I will go back to the data here, and the second thing that you can do is the following. You can see, for example, using graphs, chart builder, here you have a window and you can drag or you choose what you want and you put it here. For example, what will be your graph type? Is it a bar? Is it a line? Is it a scatter dot, etc.? A histogram. Let's say we want a histogram, so we put here like this histogram. And in this histogram, for example, I want to see the gender, how many female and male here, okay, categories, and I will count, for example, according to back type, let's say. Okay, so if you click OK, we will get this graph for male, female, and the back type. I will show you another type of graph to find out the relationship between two different quantitative variables. In this case, I can use scatter dot. So I will select scatter dot, and here I will do the following. I want to see how the GPA is changing according to attendance. Now, when the attendance is changing here in the x-axis, how would the GPA change? GPA, where is the GPA? Here is the GPA. So GPA. And here we could get an interesting graph. For each level of attendance, we can see the GPA. It appears to be a bit increasing and upward sloping. We can here add a fit line. So if you double click on the graph, I will maximize it. Here you can see that you have a fit line, add a fit line. And you can choose, for example, a linear fit line. Okay, so we have a positive relationship here, as we can see, between attendance and GPA. When the attendance level increases, the GPA level is supposed to increase. What else we can do is the following. A very important part of the analysis using SPSS is to use tables here and to custom a table to make a cross-tabulation or to link two different variables. For example, I would like to know how gender affects the GPA level. So I would like to have here the genders to category, and here I would like to have the GPA level in the rows. So I have here the GPA and the mean for each gender. I could choose here, if you click here, you can work on the categories. What I want is to choose my summary statistics. So I click on the quantitative variable here. I can add, for example, the maximum, the minimum, mean, max, let's say minimum, and the standard deviation, number, whatever. Plenty of variables. So let's take these two, for example, standard deviation, and just apply and click OK. Variables. We have the female and the male, and we have the average GPA for both is around 3, maximum 4, the minimum and the female 1.5 and the male 2.1. Standard deviation is a bit greater than the female. We can do this kind of cross between different questions. For example, let's take back degree back type, and I will only take the mean and apply. Great. The last part is called regression analysis. And here in this part, we will learn how to do a regression analysis using SPSS. We go to Analyze, to Regression, Linear Regression. You have to choose your dependent variable, which is the GPA. And then we can study the variables that could affect the GPA. For example, age, sleeping hour, let's say, and back grade. Instead of sleeping hour, in attendance. I will only take 3 variables. You can see that I didn't take any of the nominal variables here, parents, financially independent, etc., gender. I will tell you why later on, but just let us click on OK and see usually what is the output of a regression analysis, a multiple regression analysis. We have the following. Here we have the different variables that we have chosen, our dependent variable, explained variable, which is GPA, and our explanatory variables, attendance, back grade, and age. We have here a summary of the model. R square is around 0.22. Adjusted and taken into consideration number of variables is 19%. And we have here ANOVA. In the ANOVA, we can check the significance of the model, Fisher test. If it is less than 5%, and the model is globally significant. And here we have the detail. The constant is significant. It should be holism, they should be less than 5%. The age is not significant, greater than 5%. Back grade and attendance are significant. So in this model, we can see that, for example, here we have the coefficients B, that age has a negative effect but not significant. For example, back grade is significant and it has a positive effect. Each additional grade على الباك will add 0.09 GPA level. Each additional percentage of attendance will increase your GPA by 0.01. I cannot include in my regression here, I cannot include, for example, the gender. I cannot include it. لأنه we only need string variables. There is a solution. The problem is that this variable, you can see here, is female, male, etc. We have to transform it into a dummy variable, 0, 1. In order to do so, click on transform, recode into different variable. So you take gender here, you assign a new name, for example, male. And here you can change. When you click on change, we know that we are moving from gender to a new variable called male. And here you can set your new variable options, old and new values. You click on it. In old values here we have either female or male. So if the value is male, so you click here male, then the new value I want it to be 1. Okay, so I can click on add. You can see here that male now is transformed to 1, and you have to respect capital letter. We can click here, all other values must be 0. Add. So male 1, else 0, and we click on continue and OK. You can check it here at the end of this, a new variable, male, 0 for male, and here when we have 0 for female and 1 was male. So you can do it for all your other variables. Now I can include this variable, you see, and I can click on OK and see if this variable is significant. There is no significant effect of being a male with respect to females and vice versa. Okay, and then you can test and test and test until you get all your determinants. Which of these determinants are affecting the GPA? You can get your results, and you write your equation. Okay, thank you for listening, and bye bye.